Hey everybody, welcome to Tea Time with Amy and Bev. What's up, girl?
Not much. How are you doing?
I'm good. You look like you're ready for a day in the sun.
I am. It's fun. It's fun. I'm thinking there was a recently Freeman and I had gone on this hike and because you brought up my hat and I had my hat on. We had stepped around an area and I was kind of by this time I'm kind of like in a mood because I'm wanting to find a place, right? I've been up there with someone else before and this has been a couple of weeks. I had been up with someone else up there and we went to this place and we dug up these crystals and stuff like that. And then I was trying to find this place and it's like, I feel like my mind's caught on finding this place. I'm not finding it, but that's what my focus is. And so we like hiked through and I'm like, but this isn't the place, instead of enjoying the space where I was at, I was still enjoying, but I still had that nagging going on, but this isn't the place. And that other place was so much better, even though we've gone to now that looking back, we have gone to some pretty freaking amazing places recently where we found just all kinds of different stones that we like. So we're walking on this path and I walk up ahead because he's like, oh yeah, just around the corner. That's where we were parked at before. And I'm thinking that's not where we were parked at. I got my mind. And I'm walking up there and the wind catches my hat or starts to catch my hat, the hat that I had on, and I had my glasses on. They're expensive glasses. I had them on this hat and I took them and I stuck it under my arm because I'm carrying two other big rocks that have the little crystals that are attached to the top of it, and I'm not willing to let those down. So I'm holding this and I'm gonna march up. I'm gonna hike up these rocks and get to the top so I can see how far this other place is from where we're at. I'm like, nope, it's not over here. It's far off or whatever. That's not the spot or whatever. Because I don't know, trying to be right or something. It wasn't to that extent, but that's kind of like the energy that was going on. I'm
Yeah.
just kind of
Yeah.
exaggerating it a bit, but the energy wasn't in a good space. And then I start walking down and I'm hot, right? And recognizing not slowing down to pay attention to how I'm feeling. So we get to this point and I'm looking down that way and I realize I don't have my hat anymore. Son of a bitch. And he's like, well, just get you a new one. And I'm like, still looking around, like, okay. So we head back to the vehicle. We get into the truck and I'm sitting there and I look down, there's my glass case. And I'm like, oh man, I even opened it up and I'm like, I don't have my glasses. Well, now we're not willing to leave the hat any longer. Because those glasses are like $130 or whatever they were. I don't even remember what it was. And someone else might think they're cheap, someone else might think they're expensive, but they were just good to help protect my eyes. And so we go back looking for it. And so in the energy that I'm in, I'm like talking to my angels and stuff. I'm like, okay, let's help me. I wonder where my hat's at. I wonder where my glasses are at. And then I'm in my mind, I'm also like, is it even possible for us to find them together or even near each other? Because that's asking a lot. It's a freaking windy day. It's like super windy out there. And we're walking and I'm not finding anything. And he's like, well, did you step over here? He says, I see your boot print over here. And I said, I don't even know. At this point, I don't even know where I've been. Honestly, I don't even have a clue because I just I just was in that mind space. And then I'm looking around and he says something, I don't remember exactly what he said, but he's like standing there and he's holding my hat. I'm like, oh my, you've got to be kidding me. But I wasn't going to find it because of the energy that I was in. And he was in a different energy, solution oriented, different vibrational frequency than my mood was. And that was hindering me from finding something. And I was getting like, I was like talking to my angels, like, well, this is okay, fine. Well, I guess I just got to let it go and figure out how to let this go, going through this whole process, trying to figure out, because I get not knowing what to do with these emotions sometimes with that going on instead of saying, isn't that interesting? Which we talked about last week.
Yeah.
Just talking about, isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting how that something shows up? Isn't that interesting how you pay attention to how you're feeling, how how you can kind of shift gears and you don't have to be in that space anymore. And how isn't it interesting how easy it was for him to find them? And then my glasses were still attached to it. So it was so awesome. And by this time we were kind of like a little bit pressed for time, kind of, but not really, because I had intentions of picking up my grandkids and I need to pick up my grandson because he gets out of school at 2:30. And, it was like something that we would have been able to, when we initially got into the truck, until I found out the glasses were missing, we would have had no problem. And because we're all the way out by Oatman, and, it's a little bit of ways away from town. And I'll tell you what, even going and looking and finding that hat, we found that hat, we still pulled up and we were still early at the school to pick him up from school. It's amazing how when you kind of let go, we kind of talked about that too, letting go and allowing things to kind of unfold for you instead of trying to control every aspect of it. In the process, I got to recognize, gosh, you really do love me. If you took that time to really come to kind of soothe, not just to fix things, but to kind of to help me out because you knew that it mattered to me and stuff like that. So I got to have a different perspective on things and see things a little bit different. So it wasn't about the experience or the loss of the hat or the glasses or any of that stuff. There was so much more to it than that. And I feel like we miss out on a lot of those details when we don't stop and take inventory about how well things are working out for us, like how well things are flowing for us. We get so caught up in what doesn't seem to be working for us when all of it's working for us, and recognizing it's for us. It's not against us. And that's something that I've had a realization. We've talked about it, but I've actually had a realization where I've implemented it, and it's taken a lot of responsibility off of myself, but and off of my ideas that someone else should be taking care of certain things or do certain things. It's just alleviated a lot of more stress that I've just kind of laid off the shoulders. It's just letting it go. And it's allowed me to be happier and lighter and more joyful.
Yeah. There was an incident at work where um we do a lot of events, and it includes people being vendors. And we have a new system that we're navigating. So going from a paper process to an online process, and there's a lot of intricate pieces that need attention. And we didn't have certain amount of detail on this one particular event, well, actually a couple, and somebody and a business owner sent us an email who they do vendor fairs frequently, apparently. And so she sent in this email, and it just starts right off the bat of, your website is terrible, and terrible was in capital letters with exclamation points, and ragging on it. And then she asked a bunch of questions, and a couple of the people in the office got like offended or appalled. I'm trying to think of the words. Anyway, it kind of set them off. And I looked at it and I'm like, okay, well, she don't like our website. That's clearly her choice. Whatever. Some of the questions she asked was on the homepage of the website, so that clearly told me like she didn't really look. And then she did have some valid questions. So I took the time to answer those questions and email her back. And one of the things I put in the email was, and I really think, because there was another question in it that had to do with somebody else in our community, and I really think that's what the entire email was about. But the vendor portion of it was a kind of a lead in. And now I'm going to ask this question that I'm really curious about, because, everybody needs to know the answer to this. Anyway, I answered her, and it ended up like in a Word doc, ended up being like a 3-page answer.
Oh,
At the very beginning of this, at the very beginning of it, I said, thank you for your patience. We're navigating a new system. And, in business, there's a saying, it says, done is better than perfect. And so, and then put some other words after that. And then I answered all her questions, even the one that the curiosity killed the cat type of question that was about another community member. I was answered very professionally. Her response was very short paragraph. Now I provide this 3-page answer, right? And her response was, well, it sounds like you're just flying by the seat of your pants, and I'll just do other vendor shows outside of this community or something like that. And I was just like, isn't this interesting? How many different dynamics are a part of this? First of all, the very beginning where everybody was being put off by the email itself. And I thought, being both a business owner and having an event where I had vendors needing all that information, I wasn't part of the process of setting that all up. It wasn't until I saw her email that I went and looked at what she was asking, and I realized she's got very valid questions. As a vendor, there are some pieces, there's some information that you need to know. I mean, really. And I explained that to the people in the office. I'm like, these are really good questions, and these are things that we do need to include on it. So include on the website. So as we move forward, we need to do this. We need to add some more details, because it's important for them as a vendor to know these things. So it was a very, I just looked at it as like, it was a very beneficial situation for us to be more mindful and to be better. And even though it came across in such a way of sounding kind of mean, the way her email was, I'm like, well, that's okay. That's our choice. But this other stuff, yeah, we need to give attention to it. So, and then moving forward, and then her response, I just kind of looked at it because it's a very short paragraph. And I thought about control. Like, I need to be controlling. I need to know all the pieces. I need to know every detail. I need to know there was like no flexibility in the way I was perceiving and feeling into her first email and her response to mine. Was the flexibility. And it kind of goes along with what you're saying about your hat and glasses. Like there was no, it was very rigid. Like, fine, well, shit, I lost my glasses and my hat, and it was like there was an opportunity, but there wasn't an opportunity taken to take a breath and go, okay, let's just go back and look for it, or let's change the energy of this situation so that I can find it. Because we know, like you said, if when you're in a certain space with yourself, you're not going to find something that's lost. You just aren't, because you can't see it. It could be right under your foot and you wouldn't be able to see it because you're looking out over, so it's like,
Exactly.
But this person, you could tell there was not any flexibility in the conversation or in the response. And I was like, and it was just an interesting experience to have. I matter of factly answered her questions with some lightheartedness, and it felt good to me. And that, I think, what really mattered to me is that I didn't get all wrapped up into her comments about the website or her response to my email. So always recognizing and acknowledging how well you're doing, right? You recognize your energy and looking for your hat and sunglasses, and then realizing, wow, he really did care enough. He cares so much about me to want to go find these and help me find these. And luckily he was there to help you find them, because his energy was so much different than yours, right? And
Yeah.
being able to have that self-awareness. I know that was a lot to come around to this, but just having the self-awareness. How well am I doing? How am I feeling? What am I thinking? What am I talking about? And it's a daily practice for me as well, because the biggest thing is, like, I am out in the public now so much more than I have been in the past few years, and just really navigating all the feels and the thoughts and the words and the energies, and so yeah.
It's fun. Honestly, it's fun.
Yeah.
It really is. It's still not getting caught up in the stuff. And you're talking about everybody in the office too and how their response was. And that's where, when we're not setting our intentions, or when we're not putting our how we want to feel, or asking questions with inside self, or talking to joy, or when we're not doing any of those things, we're allowing ourselves to kind of pick up on whatever we're matching at that moment. And then we keep ourselves, it's almost like this vicious cycle that we keep ourselves in this energetic space and not allow ourselves to go higher, even though all that's happening at that frequency is asking for more, for something different. And then it's being open to whatever that looks like, but it's being in that space of appreciation, because there's so many things I could look back at that I didn't appreciate, but everything that I think that I didn't appreciate, I spend time in it now and I'll appreciate it. I'll be like, well, wasn't that was such a beautiful room that we got to stay in, and wasn't that tub was so big and huge and deep, and it's like, maybe I couldn't have been in that space because I didn't have the tools to be able to do it then, but I do now. And that's why I talk to people a lot of times. It's not, we don't, it's our story. We're here. All of us, our experience here on this planet right now is a story. It's all a story, and it's all through our perceptions. It's through our, our lenses. And it's like that story can be shifted at any point. And it's like, it's just looking at the story from a different perspective, because the story, gosh, God, there's so many books that are written out there, but they're all written about a life. You know what I mean? It could be someone's different perspective on each person's life, or on that. We could probably all write a story about one person's life, but from a different perspective on everybody, from everybody, and writing that story, and it's going to look different. It's going to be, it's going to have its highs and lows. It's just going to have highs, or the other person's just going to see the lows. And it's like, where do you want to be at in all this stuff? And it's like, I can change any of that anytime I want to, just by, I don't have to read that book anymore. I can pick up this book, which is the same story, but it's now written from someone that's seen it through a different lens. I hope that made sense, because it's, in my mind, it kind of made sense. It's just going with that flow of everything. And it's like, life is so amazing. And it's not about the things that are happening. It's about the things that we get to have an experience with, it. We get to grow from. We get to have these experiences. My gosh, we came here to feel and to enjoy and do things. Do I not feel like I want to be off the planet sometimes? I do. Honestly, it comes up every once in a while. It's like, well, fuck it, then I'm done. Peace out. Peace out, Girl Scout. Like, that's it. I'm done. But it's like, but in a second later, I'm in a different space. And I'm in a different space now because I'm just paying more attention to me. I'm noticing more attention. It's not what someone's doing outside of me. It's how am I how do I feel inside when that's happening outside of me? Because that whatever I'm feeling on inside, is those are the emotions. That's what I need to be looking at. That's what I need to be caring about. It's caring about how do I feel with inside this vessel, not how somebody else is feeling. Because we get so lost into all that stuff, and it feels like a lot of the stuff, when the people saw that, it automatically hit all their triggers, because they're tired, and they don't have enough energy. They don't have enough time for themselves. There's a million things. There's a lot of things that can make you feel that way. They didn't have time to eat lunch. They don't have time to drink water because they don't want to have to go to the bathroom or whatever. Because I've had all these excuses. I've had all these feelings and emotions. But that's also outside of us. It has nothing to do with inside of us. It's getting to know, why do I feel that way? How can I feel differently?
I'm with you. There's days I pray, I'm like, okay, aliens, I'm ready for the spaceship, man. Come get me.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
And it's in those moments where I'm gonna say I'm not taking the time to recognize how I'm feeling, or I'm getting wrapped up in the drama and the energies of other people. I'm getting wrapped up in the frustrations and the difficulties. And when I'm in that type of space, it's just like I'm done. Yeah, I'm done. I've had enough. I don't want to do this no more. I don't want to people no more. I don't want to work no more. I don't want right. And it's just the idea of a shutdown mode. And that's not what we're here for. Um, we're here for these experiences, whether we like it or not. We're here for these experiences, but also those experiences help us to be and do better. So, okay, it didn't go well. All right, well, what are you going to take an assessment? This is how I handled it. Probably didn't do so good, but now I'm aware. And so I can do it better next time. It may not be 100%, but at least it would be a little better than the last time I face this type of situation. So having, whether you call it an assessment or self-awareness or an analyzing yourself, take the time to just recognize, okay, this worked, this didn't work. I didn't do so well with this. I could have done better. So next time, I know. Now I have the information. If I don't have the information, then I'm not going to do better. So if I have the information, I can do better. So it's like, what are you going to do with the information that you're getting with each experience that you have? Good or bad, light or heavy, bright or dark. I mean, however you want to label these experiences. So yeah. And we're not in a solution oriented mindset either. We're just focused on the problem and this discomfort of it. And instead of, okay, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm facing. How am I going to handle it? How am I going to show up in this situation? How can I be solution oriented with this instead of getting caught up in let me just use this as an example. So with my job now, there's a lot of we're around a lot of political stuff, and I'm okay with it. So I'm in a pretty good space with myself as far as politics go. And before it was like I couldn't stand it. I don't want to talk about it. Not my wheelhouse. But what I recognized was there was a forum, and there's like 11 people running for this particular position. And they were asked a question, and each person got the opportunity to answer the question. And what I noticed with every one of them was they reiterated the problem. And I sat there, and it was after about 3 or 4 of them answering the one question that I was there, and then continuing on. After about 3 or 4, I was just like, we already know what the problem is. In my head, I'm not saying this out loud, but in my head, I'm like, we already know what the problem is. But each one needed to hit something about the problem. Like, we already know what the problem is. What's the solution? That's the reason why you're running for this position, is bring a solution, implement a solution, give us hope that there's something that's different that can be done. And so taking that information and turning it inward, when I give myself a solution, I'm giving myself hope that life is going to be better or is better. I'm just not recognizing it yet. So it was an interesting experience sitting in on that forum.
That would be interesting. And how they all kind of, because there's like a certain hat that they're putting on, that they're all kind of using the same tactics.
Yeah.
Instead of like you said, instead of looking at it as a solution oriented. And then when you were saying that stuff, I'm like, well, maybe you could be guiding some of these people. It's like, hey, you guys can sign up to see Amy anytime.
Yeah, right.
Because it benefits you. It's just like we've talked about certain things, and you've brought other information to what people, victims and all this other stuff. You've brought different information to them to give them another perspective on things. And it's like, how can we help these people grow, not keep them in the same mind space? And that's kind of what's happening. And it's like all that stuff being said, everything that you said too, everything is not it's none of it's bad. It's all opportunities, because it's an opportunity for something else to burst or break free from the confines of those thoughts, those traditions, those habits. And the reason people are getting upset and angry is because they don't like the way it feels. And it goes back to the whole thing. It's just really paying attention. Well, how does it feel? We talked about it before. I could say, I can sit there, and when I'm paying attention to how I'm feeling and my mind starts playing a story through in my mind, I can feel in my body immediately, how does that feel? Well, with doing that, I recognize, well, how does it feel? Well, then immediately when I'm in that space and it doesn't feel good, I automatically start focusing on something that brings me right present, right now. And then all that emotions and all those feelings that were attached with that other thing, it's completely gone. Completely gone. And then you shift and you go forward, and maybe you just even do something else. So it's interesting, or you focus on something else, you're solution oriented to something. It's just really just slowing down and paying attention to what's going on inside, and not getting wrapped up in all the stuff that's around you, being the center, being the metronome, being the one that's going to contribute to the energy that's around, that everybody else is going to vibrate to. It's like all of a sudden they could feel like they could take a fresh, a breath of fresh air, and they feel peace, and they don't even know why, because they don't have to know why. We don't have to be like, well, that's because Amy was vibrating at a higher frequency and you guys kind of matched up with it now. You're welcome. I mean, it doesn't have to be any of that kind of stuff, but we have such an effect. And if you don't believe us, go out and try it.
Yeah.
Try it. Set your intentions. When next time you go to, because I'm going to be around a lot of family today. The next time you go to like a family reunion or a graduation party or whatever, and you know you're going to be around lower vibrational frequencies, or what you have perceived, quote unquote, as lower vibrational frequencies in the past, because in the past I would have been in a lower vibrational frequency to have noticed these things. But when we're high flying, you don't notice those things. When you're high flying, next thing you know, you're surrounded by the high flying. And then it kind of trickles out. Then the next group of people, they're starting to high fly. And maybe they don't all do it, but a majority does. And so it's being in that space of not being controlled by the environment. This is our freaking stage. This is your movie. This is your show. This is your whatever you want to call it. It's your book. It's your tapestry. It's like, what do you want? What kind of colors do you want on your tapestry? What do you want? What words do you want in that book? So it's like we have such an opportunity all the time to play with this stuff, to play with it, and then start seeing how much even more fun you can have with it. Like even how much better your life can even be from that moment. And it has that. We've gotten so caught up in money because that's that's the way we've been trained. But it's like, that's not, the money just comes when you're just happy. Everything just happens for you. It's not like I would hear all that crap before, and I call it crap because that's how it felt when I would hear it. I'm like, yeah, well, fuck. Okay, sure, it's all gonna come. I see it. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm fucking happy right now. Nothing's happening, But it's not like that. It's just going out and playing in all this stuff and playing with the environment. Go into the grocery store, like set yourself up. Take some time out of your day and set yourself up. Like really set yourself up. Set your intentions before you go into that grocery store, and watch what happens. Like see the people that you meet and notice the eye contact and the smiles and the conversations. Everything changes. And so I have that opportunity today too. I can either be in that space of recognizing, oh, I'm going to be around some people that I really don't want to be around, or that was my old me. Now I just don't care because I'm just me. It's because I know wherever I'm vibrating at, that's what's going to show up in my experience. Period. End of story.
Yeah.
So my intentions are I'm going to have a great, magnificent day, way beyond whatever I could possibly perceive. I can't even orchestrate it. So the controller me, out the window. It can't be there. It just can't. Not for me to go and have a good time.
Right. And appreciate all of it. Appreciate all the interactions, good, bad, indifferent. Okay, well, that was interesting, right? Just holding on to that word, because that's a very valuable word, I feel, in my lifetime. Is like, well, wasn't that an interesting experience?
Yeah. And then curious, like, why did it show up? But for me, it's even looking deeper than that. How did I feel during all that stuff?
Right.
Well, I can continue that feeling of all that emotion, all that stuff, that encounter or whatever. I can continue that, or I can totally change it and go off and do something else, or I can feel something differently. It's a choice. I can keep myself there, or I can go play.
And you set your intentions too. So if you set your intention of, oh my God, I got to be around these people, and I don't like Aunt Chris, and I don't like cousin Joe and oh man, how's this? Like you're setting yourself up to have a day or a moment or an experience that's just not going to go well.
Exactly.
Or every time the family gets together, they get drunk and then they fight and argue, and you're setting yourself up for an expectation. You're praying for something that you don't want to happen. And instead of being like, wow, look at me, you're going up in the mountains, right?
Yep.
Look at me. Oh, I get to go up in the mountain. I will sit there in a group of people and just stare up and look at the top of the trees and the sky and whatever's happening and the birds. And it's like it doesn't even matter what's going on around me. The people that are the conversations, I will just because I'm in nature, I'm embracing the nature and the sense and the visuals and all the fun, all the enjoyable stuff, right? So it's really about what are you setting yourself up for? What experiences are you setting yourself up for? And that's when how can my life get any even better than this? I'm setting that up. Like, okay, universe, this was cool. What other cool things can you bring to me? Because this was really fun. Or
Yeah.
maybe it was a suck experience. Okay, universe, how can my life get better than this? And that's usually a recognition that something within me is off, and I need to bring myself more in alignment with what I want. Then it gets better. So whatever, you still have to do the work. I'm just saying, you still have to do your own process to set yourself up to have amazing experiences. That's your energy, it's your thoughts, your words, your emotions, all the things. We're a package. It's not just one. We're a package. We're the Big Mac deal.
Nice.
Sandwich, fries, and a Coke. So, all right, my friends, appreciation, absolutely super important in all facets of your life, of all experiences, whether it's a good or bad, you can appreciate it because there's always something to be learned. We usually appreciate things when it's really good, but also recognize that there's some heavier experiences that we can appreciate as well because there are things to be learned from it, and it helps us grow and expand and learn more about ourselves. And is it fun? No, I'm not gonna say it's fun. I'm not gonna say it's easy, but it's necessary, I feel, for us to keep growing and expanding and developing within ourselves to be and do better. So um, we appreciate you, your time, your energy. If you've gotten anything valuable from this conversation, please share it. Have the conversations, plant the seeds, or share our podcast with your friends and family. We're found on all types of platforms. We're on YouTube, social media, Google Podcast, Podcast Addict, iHeartRadio. I don't even remember all of them, but there's several. So just get the information out there because there are people who are desiring this type of guidance. So do you have any final words, Bev, before we wrap up?
Question yourself, where is your compass leading you?
Nice. I like that.
Yeah. Lead it to have it. For me, it's like leading me to my passions, whatever that looks like, because I have no clue.
Just feeling good, right? This feels good. I want more of this.
Just feeling good. That's right. I'm just going by the feels. So but it's like it's our compass. It can be set to north. It can be set to negative. It can be set to positive. It can be set to wherever you want it to be at.
Yeah.
What are you setting it to? Or how are you letting it lead you around? I'm looking at it. What direction am I going? So easy.
And the best thing is if you don't like the direction you're going, you could always move in a new direction, right? Just a 1% change.
Yep, just a choice. Exactly. Or just sit there on the rock.
Yeah, right. Or just sit there. You feel into it.
Yeah.
All right, my friends, thank you for taking your time and energy to hang out with us and listen. And we appreciate you. And we'll see you next time. Take care.
Bye.